Okay, so this is where I started. And this is where I'm at right now. Oh, I got a little bit carried away with there. Sorry, I played a bit more than I was expecting, but I'm still developing this. I'm going to get more sequences in this, and I'm going to start digging for more samples and just trying to layer more samples and different sequences, just sketching ideas. And that to me is one of the great things about working with multiple sequences and just designing multiple ideas instead of sticking to the arrangement view. So for all the beginners coming in, I would always encourage you to try this workflow, like this more classic workflow of the MPC, which is working with multiple sequences. Instead of sticking to an idea, maybe if that works for you, then fine. If that isn't working for you, maybe you could try developing this sort of workflow, which is a very classic MPC workflow of just, working with multiple ideas. So as I was saying, this is where I started. I started with that sample, and that sample, if I'm not mistaken, is this one. I just liked it, and I said, let me bring that in and develop a drum loop around that. And I developed the drum loop. It wasn't really working, so I was like, you know what? The drum loop is kind of nice. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to develop that into something different. So what I did is I copied this sequence into another one, and I just kept the drum loop. This is right now, that is that second sequence. So I kept that drum loop, and then I started digging for samples, and I brought in that other track. And that track then has that sample which I'm now working with. So the idea of creating multiple sequences allows me to keep previous ideas stored in one sequence and then jump into other sequences and just taking the best out of each sequence and kind of like developing everything into something that might work in the end. So it's the opposite way of thinking, all right, I'm going to stick to an idea, I'm going to arrange it from start to finish. It's the opposite of that. It's pretty much just sketching ideas until you find something that works. For me, an arrangement view really comes at the end, not at the beginning. So first, I just want to be sketching ideas in multiple sequences. So if you're ever thinking about, maybe this arrangement view isn't really working for me, remember that you can always chain these ideas into song mode. And it's really a shame that we don't get like this more improved song mode. Sometimes like this MPC one, for example, doesn't have even a song mode button anymore. Akai tends to go more towards this new generation of MPCs where everything is around the arrangement view. And it's really a shame because I feel like this classic workflow of just designing sketches in multiple sequences, even the program, I would say, not being able to change programs in the track is a shame. Like another thing that I used to do a lot on these tracks that you could change the program inside of it is that I would keep that same effect chain in there on the track. Because what I do, and if you notice like some of these, not this one, but this one right here has a filter, right? So I'm going to solo. That's the actual sample without the filters and without the effects on the chain of the track. Right? So I used to be able to just stick to that chain and then change the programs inside of that track chain or that track effect chain, right? So I would just load up another program, change the program, keep the effects. And it's a shame that I can't do that right now. What I could do is just save that chain and bring it up at any point. There's always workaround for that. Yes, I will always be part of the group that wants that old workflow back, especially things that relate more to this idea of chaining sequences and working with the song mode, working with the track mutes, working with next sequence. I wish all that was a bit more, Akai would take more a better look at that workflow, because there's so much good stuff in that workflow than there's just this standard arrangement view. Anyway, stop bitching about that. And so what I do here, I got this sequence right here. Of course, that next sequence number 3, has another part of that sample. Yeah. There's more samples in there for me to explore. But yeah, so that other sequence has that same drum loop, which I copied from the previous sequence to this one. And now I'm at a different sequence that could be just part of a B part in the beat, whatever. I'm just designing ideas at this moment. I even went to another sequence, and sequence number 4 is that same loop, but with those vibraphones. And then you go to that main sequence, which I'm still working on. Back to the other one. No vibraphone. Another sequence. And of course I can chain all this up in my song mode and just make it easy to work from there, and have multiple songs, actually, different arrangements if I want. But it's much easier to chain these ideas, organize these ideas now, because I have them separate. I have them in different sequences, so they're separate. And I can now place, there's no better arrangement than now placing these sequences up and lining them up to however I want to try, instead of just having to delete regions, copy regions around. It's just already there. So I just have to chain these. I hope Akai sees this, man, because honestly, this arrangement view is such an illusion. If you come from like working with song modes, just like, I don't know, it's like university level against primary school level, to me anyway. Like there's no comparing the two. But I understand that it's easy to understand, it's easy to digest a linear view, but whatever. All right, so what am I gonna do next? Well, I got this. So instead of adding already more to this, I just wanna copy the sequence around, and I'm gonna copy it, and I wanna try and find more samples. I'm gonna copy the sequence to number 6. It's the same copy. I want to find some voices, add some extra stuff on top of it. So right now I'm going to just create a new track, all right? And I'm going to load, going to hit one of my folders. Let's go here, see if what I have. Right, let's say I want that just for the sake of the video. I'm going to load it up. I'm just going to load the sample. I couldn't load the entire program, but right, let me lower that. I'm going to apply a high pass filter to this. So there's a filter right here. I'm just going to use it. I'm going to have to pitch this. I'm not going to use this, but keep going from here, right? Just finding little samples to come in and complement the sequence, copy the sequence around, and just go from there. At the end, go into your song. In here, I don't have a button for song mode. So insert whatever sequence you want and start from here. Right, just chain something, export that into a sequence, then you got your arrangement. Once you have a full idea, you can start even doing automation, adding extra samples, extra touches on the arrangement. But I do love to just arrange everything in the song mode. So I was bitching about this new workflow, which to me makes absolutely no sense coming from an old school head, and loving the MPC. Why change? I mean, yeah, whatever. But that was it, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Share and subscribe. Have all of that fun. Get samples on my Patreon as well if you want. These samples are there already. This comes from an old crop, 24, 25. I don't know. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.